Healthcare decision-making involves tighter access and increasing operational pressure. The environment has changed, and the windows to engage professionals continue to narrow. Two sales reps can operate with access to the exact same training, identical content, and the same CRM data. Yet, in this simulation, they leave the same interaction with completely different outcomes. One account stalls while the other progresses. This divergence isn't explained by missing knowledge. Working harder or delivering more information does not force an account to move. Treatment decisions now cross clinical, financial, and administrative checkpoints. Each transition introduces friction into the process. These conditions create extreme time compression. Reps frequently have only a few minutes to influence direction. An average performer uses those minutes to deliver a set of key messages. A standout performer uses that exact same time to identify what is preventing the next step. Success in these constrained windows relies entirely on decision quality under pressure. High-performing reps secure an advantage by mapping how a specific account operates and navigating the complex, often unseen architecture within it. Securing an account requires making the correct diagnostic choice in the brief moment that dictates an account's momentum. When organizations observe a performance gap, their standard response is increasing training frequency or providing more content. This diagram illustrates the application gap. Access to knowledge is rarely the issue. Without a filtering mechanism, static information breaks apart under the pressure of the field environment. Translating that raw data into forward action requires 4 specific elements working together. Knowledge provides the baseline. Reps know what to say and what resources are available. Skills enable the execution. Reps learn how to ask targeted questions. Behavior determines whether those mechanics are applied in the moment, particularly under sudden constraints. Finally, mindset acts as the cognitive filter. It shapes how a rep prioritizes competing demands and dictates how they process ambiguity. Standard training modules are designed to prepare teams for predictable, known scenarios. The reality of the field forces reps into unfamiliar situations with incomplete information, requiring rapid, high-stakes judgment calls. To close the application gap, organizations must move beyond testing memory retention and engineer the capacity for strong field intuition. Consider the micro level of a standard client interaction in the field, which is bounded by a strict 5-minute time limit. 2 minutes in, the stakeholder introduces a sudden objection based on a structural constraint. This linear path represents the average rep's reaction. They view the objection as an obstacle to overcome, repeatedly trying to force a key message past it. A standout performer alters their trajectory. They absorb the objection as vital intelligence and shift into a diagnostic loop. They begin by entering with a hypothesis and refining it through targeted questions to understand the account's specific limits. They listen actively for verbal signals that reveal the client's internal priorities and operational drivers. Effort is then prioritized. They evaluate 2 valid paths and commit to the one where decisions are most likely to progress. This requires stepping away from obvious, visible activity in favor of deeper, higher-value engagement. When the original objective of the meeting fails, they adapt in real time to secure an alternative outcome that still advances the account. Over time, these insights are connected across multiple interactions, building a predictive, working model of how the client functions. An objection provides direct, structural data detailing how the account operates. High-performing reps use the conversation to dynamically map the structural reality of the client's decision-making process. That local interaction exists within the much broader systemic architecture of a modern healthcare organization. This model illustrates how account decisions must travel through 4 discrete layers, described as spheres of influence. The innermost layer is the individual level, focusing on how a specific professional thinks, including their risk tolerance and immediate clinical priorities. The second layer is the clinical level, where diagnostic variability dictates treatment rules across a department. The third layer is the operational level, where administrators, financial constraints, and nursing workflows determine whether patient access is achieved or blocked. The outermost layer is the system level, representing macro pressures across the entire healthcare value chain and the national ecosystem. A rep might successfully navigate the first 2 layers, securing clinical agreement on a treatment's efficacy. However, the decision moves towards implementation, hits an administrative constraint in the operational layer and stalls out entirely. There is a sharp distinction between a stakeholder who participates in a clinical decision and one who holds the operational power to move it forward. Standout performers anticipate these breakdowns before they happen. They adjust their engagement strategy early in the process to effectively clear the blockage. Securing agreement in the exam room yields nothing if the rep lacks the system-level intuition to predict the operational constraints waiting downstream. To support this systemic navigation, leadership must adjust its expectations to align with account complexity. Tracking standard activity metrics like call counts and email opens encourages volume at the expense of strategy. Performance measurement must transition to tracking the quality of engagement, making the movement of key stakeholders and advancement of specific decision points visible. Learning and development programs must force reps to practice trade-offs and prioritization rather than memorizing content. Sales coaching must shift to focus on how a rep interprets dynamics rather than revealing actions. Managers must ask reps to actively explain their diagnostic reasoning. This exposes the mental gaps that standard activity metrics hide. Healthcare professionals are becoming increasingly selective with their time, amplifying the penalty for low-quality interactions. Organizations that continue to prioritize activity volume will be trapped with inconsistent, unpredictable results. Building decision-making capability is the only reliable way to systemize high performance and predictably navigate modern account friction. In an ecosystem defined by constraints, the ultimate advantage is how clearly a rep diagnoses the environment, prioritizes their targets, and acts in the moments that matter most.